Ain't no last calls here.
Bar Talk with Jay.
Bar Talk with Jay. Welcome. One of the things I want to tell you is brought to you by Ice Dispose LLC. This is our recovery do these great things for you. All you got to do is give us a call. I try my best to keep customer service number one.
Yes.
So all you have to do is call right now what all we can do for you. And again, we handle all your front load, your roll-off needs. We don't do residential. I don't know why I keep getting them calls. Try to stay away from that right now because we're going to try to master a couple before we try to do all the rest. Okay? How about that?
Right.
Check us out. Now I got to get next to the person that's been working with me since I started this bad boy Craftmatic. How you doing, Big Baby?
Man, I'm doing great, bruh. I'm doing great.
You know,
Life is great, man.
you still got that glow, bro.
Yeah, life is great, man. Life is great. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying the struggle. I'm enjoying the joys. And what else can I say, man?
Now, I don't know, man. Why don't you spill the beans, bro? I've been trying to get it out you since we've been starting.
Listen, let me ask you a question. What are you trying to get out of me?
I don't know. I just be stirring the pot, baby. I don't never know.
I know, that's what I
Until
know.
you stir it, you would never know.
See, this guy right here always start trouble.
That's-
Y'all folks
that's
don't know
correct.
it. Let us properly introduce ourselves. This is Bar Talk with Jay. My name is Craftmatic, and this is my boy Smooth Jay. And what we are here to do is liberate your mind and your spirit with a great dialogue. We're going to talk about some things that might be happening in your life, and we want you to identify with what we're talking about and make some decisions for yourself. Decide whether you're going to do it this way or that way, or what you're going to do. Make some real intentional decisions as you listen to this program. We consider this kind of therapeutic. I go back and listen to these shows 2 and 3 times each, and it just adds so much value to my spirit, just even in hearing our own dialogue. So we're certainly glad that you're with us tonight, and we got a dynamic program lined up for you, as we always do.
Yes.
We're going to talk about impulse tonight. Yes. How does impulse affect our lives,
They're
our
like
thinking, our
heartbeat.
day, our pockets, our love life? Woo! There's some good stuff and some bad stuff in there,
Yes,
and
it
we're
is.
going to talk about it. We always start off the show with a prayer. And so, Jay, how you
Man,
feeling tonight?
you did that great one earlier, man. Go ahead. I'm still trying to get everybody to go ahead and cash app us, and they ain't paying me no attention. I don't know what's going on.
Listen, they might not be paying you because of me. So
I mean, but you
I
doing
take some
such a great
ownership
job.
in that.
I mean, you-
Well, listen,
but bless us.
only you are saying that.
I mean-
We need the world to chime in and say that this is some good stuff,
I
right?
do.
But our hearts are in the right place, and so if
It
it's just
is.
me and you, man, we're gonna keep rocking, right?
Well, right.
Okay, let's take this show to the Lord.
Yes.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this night. We thank you for this time to come together and break bread on wisdom and understanding. And we ask, Father, that you would guide this show to be a whole and perfect show, that we would be liberated in our minds and our spirits as a result of hearing this grand information. We want you to speak through us. We want you to hear from us, even as we think. We want you to hear our thoughts and understand our hearts. And just give us a greater wisdom of this life. And so we ask that this show be perfect, automatic, spontaneous, happy, fun, and loving. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Oh, you touched me in so many different places. Cry.
Yeah.
Man. Yes.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
awesome. Just awesome.
Woo, man.
Warm and fuzzy.
Love the Lord, man. Warm and fuzzy,
You
man.
feel it?
Warm and fuzzy. Yeah,
Feel
warm
it
and
even
fuzzy.
out of the heater.
I
Wait.
know. Once I go in, man, it's hard to come out. You
Yeah, I
know?
see.
Yeah, it's hard to come out.
Pastor.
It's a vortex, so to speak. Let's quickly cover last week's topic.
Uh-oh.
It was a fabulous topic, and once you go back and listen to it, we were all over the place, but boy, there was some magnificent wisdom that came out of that show, you know?
My bad.
Because this is what we all have to face one day, actually every day of our lives.
That is too true.
Who is pimping who? It seems like just about everybody is running game. How do you deal with people who run game? And everybody who's listening to the sound of my voice know exactly what I'm talking about when I say running game. There are people who are trying to get over on you, people who are trying to get the advantage of you, people who are trying to make it seem like you're winning, but they're really the ones winning. There are people who are really manipulating, in many cases, you because you perhaps have an unwillingness to say no, or you can't see the game. And so I'm just simply asking you all to become aware, right? You need to know, first of all, you need to know that there's a reason you should protect yourself.
All day long.
You cannot trust what people are saying to you. You have to go and verify. You have to hold them accountable.
Right.
You have to, there's a whole lot that goes into that equation. But you do understand that you have to be aware that there's always kind of a little battle going on when you're doing business, or with your boss, who's going to handle this, even with your spouse, who's going to handle this. Spouses pimp spouses all the time, right? And I think men probably feel a little more pimped than women, but in these relationships, right? Because oftentimes what a woman wants, she's going to get in her household, and unfortunately, you have to be a part of that equation, and that means you could feel sometimes pimped,
Or be single.
or you could be single,
Be
right?
single.
Just discern the game. I think there is a spiritual anointing among all of our hearts and minds, that just something that God gave us to be able to always see and discern the truth. And we have to be in tune with that frequency of the Spirit, so that we don't get taken advantage of. We don't get pushed around, so to speak. We don't get used and abused, right?
Right.
I recall having a business relationship for a gentleman for about 4 years. And we had a great business set up, and we had health insurance lined up for all of us, and we had retirement plans, and you could chime in on any disability or whatever you wanted.
Right.
And I realized at the end of the 4th year that I had been the only one paying for the insurance, right? And because I didn't really have a need to look behind that curtain, because I trusted him, right? But my mind tells me nowadays I have to always go back and ask the questions. You cannot trust anything. You have to go back and ask the questions and learn that what's really going on. If you trust just what they tell you, you could very well be being pimped.
Oh, yes.
And that hurts, man. It hurts when you trust people and they take advantage of you, or you see the lie right in the midst of what they're asking you for, or what they're saying to you. You can see boldly, because you may know more than they think you know in some cases. Right? Listen, it was a dynamic topic, and we would hope that you folks would go back and take a look at it.
Please do.
These shows, again, they're just kind of therapeutic, and they give you an opportunity to just think about real life. Sometimes we're just fighting life. I'm encouraging you to step away from life and just think a little bit, right? Step away from life and just be able to see the lay of the land of your life, and then you can see much clearer from there. And that's the perspective that we bring, is you can see it in our stories, our experiences, our opinions, but you get to make the decisions for yourself.
Correct.
And we're encouraging you to make those decisions. So let's go ahead and move on to our quote of the week. By the way,
I gotta jump in there, man.
Go ahead, man.
When we was talking about the pimping on pimping,
Oh, yeah.
recognizing the game,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
we gotta throw one thing in there,
Go
because one
ahead.
of the things,
I know. People like to manipulate. So one of the things I want to make sure you understand, we're not trying to judge you by making you feel like you have to judge everybody else. But you got to watch when somebody's getting over on you. And that's where I really feel like that's where the pimping game comes from. Is because I'm finding a way to get you to do some things and I ain't paying you. Okay? And that's manipulation. Now where I feel like it gets real foul is, again, some people can feel like they're getting pimped. But again, if it's a gang, you won't really feel that bad about it.
Right.
But normally these people are coming over, they're borrowing things and they're not trying to pay them back. They're coming to stay with you and they act like they never want to leave. And they ain't never trying to pay you. They always got excuses. They always got trauma in their life. Their trauma
That's good.
is choices
Yeah.
that they ain't changing, but they feel like if you can just help them out right now, just give me this little bit of time and I'm good. You give them that time a lot more and it stays the same because they ain't changed their mental.
Right.
So again, the pimp game to me is very old. And it's easy to be seen if you understand where you're going. Because they're going to try to take you off your path.
Yeah.
I promise you. Anybody that's good for you is not trying to lead you off. They're trying to aid.
Yes.
They are trying to aid themselves. So game recognize game when you recognize where you're going.
Outstanding.
That's why I want you to wake up and understand that pimp game is old and get back to getting on your path and you don't have to worry about that crazy crap
There
that
you
we
go.
call the pimping.
There you go. You can find us, folks,
Okay,
all
wait.
over the internet. We're
Uh-huh.
at Facebook,
Yeah.
YouTube, Periscope,
Keep going.
iTunes,
Yeah.
Spotify,
Mhm.
Google Podcasts,
Keep good.
Spreaker.com, and of course,
Oh yeah, you left off all the good ones. POF, back pages, Craigslist, offer up, let go. We got Facebook dating, meet me, cheat me, with me,
Yeah.
by me, for me, next to me, help me. And if you don't do that, call me and I'll give you an app, get you all that. That's where we at.
so check out our show. Listen, the genius behind that, for anybody who's marketing online businesses, you got to be where people are. And that's what Jay is trying to do, is put us where people are. Believe me, you can go to Let Go and we're probably there.
I'm not playing with you. You gotta let go. You play.
How'd you find Bar Talk with Jay? Let Go.
I had to let him go. They didn't tell you to do all that. I just told you to look at yourself. But you made a wise decision. Just saying.
Let's get back to business here. Tonight, quote for the day,
What we got?
Miss Barr brought this to us. She could
Ooh,
not be here
making
tonight.
Georgia, making
She is a
Georgia.
very important part of our team, and we thank you, Barb, for all that you do for us.
Lessons.
The quote is by Paul Coelho.
Who?
Paul Coelho, C-O-E-L-H-O.
You know you sound funny. Okay, well go ahead. You tell you what thinking.
It goes like this, and it lends itself to our subject for tonight on impulse. Whenever we need to make a very important decision, it is best to trust impulse and passion, because reason usually tries to move us from our dreams, saying that the time is not yet right. Reason is afraid of defeat, but intuition enjoys life and its challenges. My God, Barbara, you getting deeper every week, girl. Woo, we gonna thank Barb and Paul for this
Yeah.
message here tonight. We gotta break
Ain't
this
no
down
Paul
a
like
little
that.
bit.
Paul, my boy.
Man, some of it goes so far into the subject. He says reason is afraid of defeat.
That's right.
When sometimes there are some things in life, you know, the Bible says there's a time to move, there's a time to stay. Right? And you know, and vice versa on all different types of subject platforms.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you have to make a decision right now.
Correct.
And the other end of that equation is you have to make a decision that's, you know, with some data, that's with some history, that's with some knowledge, that's with some experience. And we need to talk a little bit about, I think that's what this subject's going to be about tonight. We need to talk about the dance between how we make decisions. In fact, this is quite profound to me, because I don't think I've ever heard a discussion about how to make decisions.
That's why we
And here I am having this discussion, and you know, got a few key points to bring throughout the week. Jay and I bring this show to you kind of off the top of the dome, because we got a gift, number one, and number two, we're just passionate about helping people and having fun here on the radio with you folks who join us every week. But how do you make a decision? And it says here, reason is afraid of defeat.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we overthink things. Sometimes we talk ourselves out of good opportunities and good choices because we think about them too long and too much and too hard. And I'm a firm believer that we really don't have to make any decisions. I went to a system several years ago where I am kind of, you know, I've always belonged to the Lord, but now I really belong to Him. And so my life belongs to Him. And so my decisions aren't really deep decisions, right? I know that the Lord is taking me along my path. But here's the most important part of it, is that when I go in a direction, I know that that's the right direction. So it's not really a decision, because if I know that I know I'm supposed to go in that direction, and I go in that direction doesn't feel right. I'm going to start stumbling from day one on that direction. But this direction is just going to be smooth. And we got to see how sometimes the Lord and the universe is moving us in a certain direction. Sometimes you got to make that decision on point. But other times, you know, kind of quite the paradoxical other side is we overthink things to make
Yes.
decisions, and we gotta stop that. Jay, what's your input, man?
I mean, you did on point. One of the things I can tell you is you talk yourself out with a fear of success.
Fear of success, yes.
And I don't know why that's been bred into a lot of different people, but it's one of the things we want to talk about to get it out of you. Because I really do believe everybody can be ordinary. But to be extraordinary, you have to go beyond. You can't just listen to the basic rules and do the basics and expect excellence. You have to go over. You have to work harder. And a lot of times, we don't want to work. Well, that's going to be your defeat. You got to put it in.
That's rich.
For the ones that sitting back and resting, is because they put so much in beforehand. And again, some people get blessed, and they don't have to do all that. But the curse behind the blessing is you really find a way to work to keep it. And if you don't, you tend to lose it. So I'm just asking people not to be lazy in this journey of figuring out your life.
Yes.
Work, gather all knowledge. Just in case you don't know what all you want to be the best at everything that you are. And next thing you know it, you can add it all up, make an equation to figure out what you really want to be happy with. It's not about being the richest, it's about fulfilling your mission.
And see, Jay, what's so beautiful about that, it ties in so well to our subject for tonight, is making the decision that I'm not going to lounge anymore is a major decision.
Yes, it is.
And that's one of those decisions that you can make right now. That's not one you got to really think about. Matter of fact, you've been thinking about it all day long because you're thinking about all them failures and all that time that you laid on the couch and all that time that you sat down and rested and you know you was tired that day. Man, enough of those days. When you look at your life, look at what you could have had. You know, you got to make a decision, and that's not a tomorrow's decision. That's a today's decision. You know, be impulsive about the decision to get on your grind, right? That's a decision you need to make right now. You know, don't let reason cheat you out of your best life. Woo! We'll end it right there, man. We'll end it right there.
We're going to pick it right back around the break.
Yeah, man. Listen, it's about time for us to go to our first break. And let me go ahead and just give you the topic the way that it is laid out for us tonight. And the way it's laid out for us tonight really causes us all to ask ourselves some questions. That's what this show is about. Asking yourself the right questions. Tonight's topic is impulse. Why do we do what we do without knowing why we do it?
You talking about me again, Graham? I'm tired of these knives now. You need to stop it, bro.
I love that. Stop being.
I didn't know at that time. It was
Listen,
a brain fart.
You wrote it out, didn't you?
Oh, my bad. Actually, somebody helped me on that one.
Okay.
But
So-
I had the thought. I was thinking about
Yeah,
it.
I'm gonna read it again. We're gonna go to break. We got an exciting show lined up for you. I want you to come back and be with us. It goes like this: impulse. Why do we do what we do without knowing why we do it? We're gonna be right back. More Bar Talk with Jay right after this.
With Bar Talk with Jay.
Like that,
With my man Kraft. Y'all don't even know what we can do up in here.
y'all don't even understand.
But one of the things I want to tell you is we got some things coming up with Minecraft. So not only are we trying to talk about issues, we also want to find ways to get them solved.
Yes.
So again, if I'm able to make this happen, that's why I teamed up with my man Craftmatic, is because it's one thing to talk about it, but not to complete the mission. I feel like that's the failure. That's an impulse. I came up with something and then I ain't come up with no resolution to make it all happen. So I realized, quit thinking small, think large. Gather up great people and get great things achieved. And I like to say thank you. Because some of the things that we're about to achieve, I want to say it before it ever happens.
Yes.
Thank you. Because I knew about the things that you had in you when I met you.
Yeah, man.
And
yeah.
that's why I tell people, don't ever underestimate anyone you meet. And he was pressuring me to sell at that time too. But it wasn't about
that was
to
my
say.
job.
I mean, yeah, you took it serious too. I'm just trying to tell you.
Yeah.
Real serious.
Yeah. Well,
I-
listen. You could have used some of the products I was
Yeah,
trying to
I
sell.
probably could have.
Yeah, you could have. You definitely could have, man.
But that shop was nasty.
Yeah, but listen.
Yeah, I figured it was that way for a
Listen,
reason.
after you left
They
there,
bought a lot of it, didn't
the
they?
guy replaced you.
Uh-huh.
Oh, he bought some.
Yeah, because I left it there.
Yeah, he bought some.
I knew I wasn't going to be that long.
Yeah, I got 2 good invoices from him. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Listen, something came to mind, just a kind of a
What's that?
sidebar. And I'm going to try to tell this story quickly and effectively.
What you got?
Jay was talking about we need to learn how to get some solutions
Mhm.
to some of our problems in life. And this is just a perfect example of how we need to live life, right?
Okay.
So Einstein spent many years trying to develop, atom technology.
Right.
EMC squared. That was it. EMC squared. I think that's the way it works. Whatever that formula is, he tried for years to get to it, and he could not get to it, right?
Mhm.
And then he was exposed to the idea that the conscious mind could help him get to his answer.
Mm.
And so what he started doing was meditating, and what he would meditate on was the fact that he had already discovered the solution.
Mm.
And he meditated on it for a very short period of time. He said, the solution is mine. It's already come to me. It's in my hand. People are now I'm the talk of the land,
Mhm.
et cetera, et cetera. And he played those tapes in his head. Very short period of time, he proved the technology.
Mm.
In a very short period of time, after trying for years to accomplish this goal, he realized that the answers are already in his mind. He went to go and visit those answers that are in his mind, and they began to manifest in his life. That's the way life works, man. The answers that we seek, I promise you folks, are in your mind. Your brain already knows, your spiritual mind already knows, and we have to tap into that new level of power and new level of energy so that it can be revealed into our lives, right? Our life ultimately is nothing more than a bunch of pictures, and we probably could prove that it's not even real at all. But it is it's like a spiritual muscle that's pushing forth your reality. Right? And so those realities are manifestations of your own spirit. And so if I want to change anything out there, I have to change what's in here.
Oh yeah, that's where it started.
That's the power of consciousness. And we got to learn to use our minds in that way. And that's what Mindcraft represents, is using our minds to help us have a better life and live a better life. And I again appreciate you, Jay, for letting me bring that to the table.
All
It is,
day.
it's my work, my life's work. And I've been doing this work for 20 plus years now, and I've had a vision, and this is the vision that I have had. Like it or otherwise, this is what I had planned to do with my life, and I'm probably going to be doing it for the rest of my life. So I hope you folks enjoy it. I'm looking forward to bringing it to you. Let's get back to the topic at hand. Tonight's topic is impulse.
Mm-hmm.
Why do we do what we do without knowing why we do it?
Well, let's just get the nasty stuff out the way. I seen it and it looked good. We ain't gonna even talk intelligent on this, okay? This is just when you just act doggish, mannish, hoish, whatever way you want to look at it. You don't process it, you just know, I want it, I'm gonna get it, and you don't even know what you're getting. I mean, it's just an impulse. You know, she had that look, I have that attraction, we got that pull. I don't even know if she feel like I feel, but she about to get this, okay? And you just react on it, and you're talking to her, and you're giving her your vibe immediately. And it might not even be going as well as it should, but she just like your energy. Because I'm telling you, putting all in, and you don't even know what you get. I know, because I've been there. I've done this, okay? Didn't work out well for my ass at all. I'm going to tell you right now. I tell people, pump your brakes. Because again, if you don't take the time to really listen to a person, you can mislead a person. I can make her feel my impulse is my drive, and it's not. That's just my sexual. My drive is totally different. So I'm over here showing you some things, and she, you like, your drive must be really strong. It is, but not normally that direction. But right now you got my attention, and it's short anyway. So please understand, while you got it, you better do what you can. 'Cause when we done, you'll be what happened. Well, listen, what happened was
I pre-warned you.
I tried to tell you ahead of time.
Right.
Gotta show the attention.
Right.
And you ain't keeping it.
Right.
But I thought, see, that's where the problem came from.
Okay.
The illusion was it's gonna be long term and it was never talked about.
Yeah.
You gotta watch where a person lead into you.
Okay.
Just like if a person just meet you, call you baby and honey.
I don't like all that.
How you gonna get
I like that.
all
man.
in?
No.
I mean, no. If I just met you and I'm honey, baby, and sweetie, how can I really be real?
Wait, hold on.
Bitch,
This shit baby about me, but
Let me get
I'm
y'all
talking
back.
about the first time I text you.
No,
His honey, sweet.
you're damn right. The first time I meet you, man, I was raised by Richard Kraft. Boy, let me tell you, he was the greatest pimp in the history of the
That's my
universe.
pimp. I ain't trying to pimp.
No, he ain't. He
Sit back. He don't bring it
He
back.
was just a cool gentleman.
I know.
Right? Everybody to him was baby and honey and sweetheart.
I know.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
I can't
and that's how we really need to love up on our women anyway. Just you know, I love terms of endearment. Just give the damn term of endearment. Show your emotion. If they don't show theirs, who give a damn what they think?
What's your
Oh,
intention?
man's nasty tonight.
Word
Well,
persuasion.
you know, and you know that could be a part of being impulsive. You know what I'm saying? Say what's on your mind. you
I ain't
know?
mad at you, baby.
I seen young
Tell
lady
it.
a couple hours ago. I was
What'd you
standing
tell
behind that line.
Uh-huh.
I decided the line was too long, but just
Go ahead,
before I left,
snitch.
I told her, I said, listen, you sure have some beautiful hair. She said, oh, I thank you.
Was it hers?
I don't know.
Damn, Craig.
It didn't matter,
You
Jay.
just say you see the tag on the back and she bought it.
It didn't matter.
You can at least go take the
It
tag
didn't
out.
matter. It was beautiful,
Oh,
right?
okay.
And I just took the time
Beautiful.
to express that to her. I'm hoping that did something for her spirit. And so I just, you know, I kind of loved it. But she was a grandma, you know what I'm saying? She wasn't no, she wasn't a
older
young
woman.
woman. Yeah, she was an older woman,
Okay.
you know?
That was great.
She probably was in her late 50s, 60s,
Oh, that's
whatever.
what I'm talking about. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, but listen, the point was, man, call me honey, sugar baby, sweetie pie
Oh, I can
the first
tell.
time. I'm okay with that, right? Because when you say those things, and see, that's why we can't be afraid of love, man. You know, this is a good impulse discussion.
Yeah, I see.
Express yourself.
I see,
You know what I'm
nasty.
saying? Like, how often do we hold back love and endearment from other people? No, you don't hold back.
I mean, I do it, I don't.
You don't hold back a damn thing.
I mean, I
right?
do it, I don't.
Mhm.
I said the honey.
remember
I
the
ain't say I wasn't gonna give you the bunny.
You remember the example you just gave us about the heated attraction?
I know. I was hot on fire.
Okay. That's
And
what I'm talking about.
I wanted to do my
And
thing.
you just felt the need to express yourself to
And
her.
I did.
There we go.
And I pushed some
There we
things
go.
back, just like what you say. Because what you say is dead on point. Honey, if that's how you feel, then you express that.
Hey, baby.
My whole
Yeah.
thing is I don't
Yeah.
feel like I'm going to express that when I first meet you.
Poppy.
Because I don't. Oh, that's the one with what right now.
I'm sorry to cut you
No,
off.
right. You got me. You got
I
me.
didn't
I
mean
heard
to.
that for the first time. Changed
Just
my
heard
whole
it.
life.
I was hearing it in my head.
Yeah, I heard it too. I heard it. The first time I heard it, it messed me up. What? I know we're a little off tangent, but I'm gonna tell y'all right now, and y'all here, y'all know what I'm talking about. They know what they be saying. And again, when you get that way, I say that's impulsive. It's not always bad, but again, when you just leading because of instinct, I ain't did no research, I ain't trying to find out nothing about you, it can be very disastrous. And again, like I said, I come all the way in, like Craftmatic said, hey, honey, baby, ooh, girl, you looking all like that. So now she automatic, oh yeah, he all into me. And she thinking long term. My short-term memory, short-term event, so 9 times out of 10, she thinking one way, I have my way. So again, like what Kraft said, if we take time to really talk, we'll have a better understanding.
Yeah.
I like to say now, I'm more laid back where I might not throw the honey and baby on the upfront. My whole thing is just to know you. So of course it's more,
Okay.
hello, what's up? But then
Okay.
I will say
Okay.
term of endearment, yes, I still have it. Now I still want to do it.
Okay. Now, Jay immediately took the subject to relationships and dating and getting together, right?
Naturally.
What's the intention, right?
And so there are all kinds of decisions that need to be made. Has that impulsive behavior? You said that didn't work out, but has
Right.
impulsive behavior worked out for you over
Yes.
a lifetime?
Yes, it happened in both, in relationships and in business.
Mm-hmm.
There's some times where I worked for corporate America for a long time, and I started watching how other people made it through the ranks, And I've seen some people own businesses and they made it way further. So I said in my head, you know, I need to get back into entrepreneurship. I did it once before. I need to start focusing my attention there because sometimes you can let a job, not saying nothing is wrong with a job at all, please listen to me thoroughly. A job can hinder you on your road to success because a job want to keep you where you're at.
Listen, we're gonna cover that. That's gonna be a whole segment in itself.
Okay, so
Just want to focus on relationships.
when
So-
I push away from that and got impulsive, like you know something, I want it, and stop playing around with. Well, it might not. See, that's that might to pull you out of it. I said, you know, I'm gonna set a plan in front of me. I want this,
Hold
and
on.
I start.
Hold on. I want to talk about just relationships.
Oh, okay. You just want to own the whim.
Hold on,
Okay,
let me ask you a question.
Ain't no problem. I like that.
Let me set it up.
Set it up.
So this behavior
Mhm.
of being impulsive with women
Mm-hmm.
and dating and perhaps one night stands.
Perhaps that's what it was.
Okay, I mean those are real
Right
in the
now.
world. Am I not talking about a real subject, folks?
Yes, you
are. Did real things.
One night stands,
Uh-huh.
and
Real
people
fun,
who you
real
hook
good.
up with,
Uh-huh.
and who you decide to talk to and not talk to. Those types of impulsive decisions working out for you in dating and relationships?
I had one crab. I promise you, I remember to this very day. Nikki. I
That's a
talked
great
to
name.
Nikki, and Nikki was talking to me, and she was always traveling.
Yeah.
And I was always talking junk to Nikki. Nikki was like, when I'm ever this in town, I'm gonna stop by. I'm gonna see you. And I was like, cool, whatever. Nick called me at 2 o'clock in the morning. We already know what that call was about. You think I wasn't taking you crazy? Seen the phone? Okay, yeah. Come on by. Thinking she might make it, might not. I don't know if she made it, bro. Came upstairs, dropped everything, looking at me like, why you still got the clothes up? Because I didn't know it was going to be just like this. I'm like, messed up. I'm just saying, it was impulsive.
No, that wasn't no damn impulsive.
It wasn't.
That was in person
It wasn't.
plan.
That was scheduled, planned, manipulated, manufactured.
And it worked out very well for me. Let me tell you, it's like boomerang. I was sitting, my toes was curved. I was all messed up. Normally, I'm sitting there pounding my chest. She walked out that room, I was like, oh, she called. I mean, she took the pimp out me. I was like, really? It's amazing how things change when you,
Yeah.
I'm thinking I'm impulsive. Oh, yeah, we gonna do this. No.
There was no impulsion in that.
Bro, she took it out.
That was a plan.
She planned and she executed. I like the execution. You can talk mess all day, and that's all we did because she never came this way. She came, she did. I ain't saying a sense, bruh. I still remember her name. I'm telling you.
Listen.
Impulsive things don't always have to be a bad thing. I ain't saying we never spoke. We
They don't.
talked a lot, but man, when I tell you,
You wasn't
I'm
showing up
not
to play, huh?
ever mad about the small relationship, but the long-term conversation she brought. She told me, I travel, I'm not looking for a lot of things, but I like to be around good people. She never lied. And when she came, I was like, yeah, she was saying all that. No, bro, she came, she did, she left, and she wasn't playing. She was dead on point. And that's what I like because she was not impulsive, she was real. She was about it, and she was gone. And a lot of people play around, and they act like, okay, yeah, and that's not how they really are. And that's why I said sometimes impulsive is nice because you have to understand where you're going. That's why it's not always impulsive. It's like what you said. It's not impulsive. That's playing. It's playing. I understand what I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it, and that's it. I'm not trying to do what you're thinking. I'm not trying to pimp you. I ain't trying to play you. It is what I say.
Okay.
Talk real.
And let me just give my chime in on
Yeah,
that. Impulsive dating, it works, but it's the hard way, for example, right?
Mhm.
So when I was in my younger days and I had a tendency to draw attention and, I had a lot of courage and, I had a lot of game and I was just talking to a bunch of women,
You just nasty.
I could have, a pocket full of numbers at the end of the night, and I could have invested some of that time into somebody who I already knew and
Right.
maybe built something.
Mhm.
And so what I found is I was stretching myself out by way of my impulsiveness,
Oh,
right?
Mhm.
And so, I had to back down off of that, right?
Mhm.
Instead of going out with a new lady, go out with a lady who I already know. and try to get closer to her, more understanding, more gravy, whatever might be in the equation. But making impulse decisions are risky in almost every area of life. And I want to leave this segment with that. They're risky, and there's a lot of risk to be taken when you make decisions without intelligence, without information, without understanding. Those things can very much get you in trouble. And if Jay had taken a little more time with that young lady, he'd have found out that she was married and her husband was a real big dude who always knew where she was.
She ain't never came back.
And he came and knocked on Jay's door one day.
And if you out there and that did happen, she'd tell me. It ain't my fault. I mean, don't come now, bro. Don't be mad because I had a little what you had. Listen.
You're getting yourself in trouble. That's what you're doing.
I'm
reading with a 38 from across the street.
Hey, you don't need to be like that. It's a police officer here back there too.
Y'all hold on. We're going to be right back with more Bar Talk with Jay.
I'm telling you, on fire tonight.
Yes, sir.
We're talking about so many different ways to look at impulse and why are we doing what we do. Oh my goodness. And Crab, you look at things like that.
What do you mean?
Mr. Romantic. I'm gonna say what I say. I'm gonna do what I do. Jay, I ain't right about this.
Why you call me Mr. Romantic?
You know that because you that dude. I ain't mad at you.
I do believe in romance.
Oh, well, I mean, you was taught well. Your dad got you good, man. I ain't mad. See, that's why, I can't take away from your pimp style, okay? I recognize your game. I leave it alone. I be asking you every show, Crab, why you be glowing? I know some things. You just ain't going to tell some things. So I tell my side since you won't tell yours. And again, mentally, it can throw you all away. It can throw you in ways that, it takes you off your game. One of the things I can tell you, again, some impulsive ways, I regret it. Because I didn't take the time to really know a person. I didn't take time to see where I was really going. And then I make that same mistake, sometimes even in business. And I didn't research. Somebody came with a great idea or was passed down to me. And it sounded good, but I was like, it don't look like they really thought about this or thought it all the way through.
Right.
Now, with me knowing logistics and doing different things for a long time, I was in my upfront mind, I had flags, but they had things written out that were supposed to get past the flags. It was like all written out. Oh no, this is the perfect plan. And I'm like, okay, traffic, logistics, where you saying they need to be, the swaps. I'm like, okay, I see a lot of things that can play a variable in there that you ain't on your plan. So again, when you start saying that, they get offended immediately. It's like, oh, you just want to talk, or you don't want it. No, sometimes you want to talk it into a better plan, not talk it out of a plan. And that's what I realized sometimes, don't let your fears talk everything out. Find ways to make it work. Sometimes your fears is the things that can add value, but a lot of times we take away. We stop because, oh no, that just ain't gonna work. That's stupid. You talking down and you walking away. My whole thing was looking at it and like, I know this might cause a problem, so I'm gonna add a person over here. See, so it's not to defeat a plan. I want a plan to work. Okay. It's just, I don't think it was in the plan. And that's why I say we can add value when we try to add. A lot of time we just denounce.
Okay.
I push away.
Let me ask you this question. And this goes to Barbara's quote, right? I want you to answer a short answer. Mm-hmm. Do you agree with this? Whenever we need to make a very important decision, is it best to trust impulse and passion?
I like to say yes. When it's in you and you understand you, yes.
When it's in you and you understand you.
You really got to make sure these two key factors when you're making this, because you have a gift, and I believe everyone does. And if you understand it, that's what the passion, it pushes out of you. And a lot of times you push away from it because you don't even understand what it is. So you're afraid of it. Don't get me wrong. It's like talk radio. I never went to school for talk radio. I was more like, I just want to common Joe, do the common things, but you have a gift and then you don't use a gift.
Yeah,
You
and
waste it. That's how it goes
and
sometimes.
here's kind of the gift that I'm trying to get to here. Let me ask the question again. Whenever we need to make a very important decision, is it best to trust impulse and decision, impulse and passion? Impulse and passion is in essence how you feel. When you go to make an important decision, you've got to learn to understand the feelings that should go along with the right decision. I think every decision that comes into our mind ultimately is coming from our heart. There's some that come from the heart and there's some that just come off the top of the dome, right? But when you have to make an important decision, is it best to use feeling? Absolutely. Why? Because if it doesn't feel right, it's probably not right. In very small number of cases, probably only 20% of the cases, will your impulse or your intuition not tell you what the right decision is. If it doesn't feel right, it probably isn't right or isn't right for you, unless you're out of touch.
Now, just about
With
to
the
go,
spiritual
you
feeling,
said that. If
right?
you're not there and you're not into that, I would say go with factual and get more data. Because that's one of the things I will fall back on, even when I get my feelings. A lot of times, it still leads me to fact find. Okay? Because I'm already going to be questioned. I'm already know when I go down this path, it ain't going to be no easy path. And I better have clear understanding because I'm normally guiding people with me. And if you're doing that, they like to have an understanding of where they're going. So when you're talking confident in what you do, because you did your own research, your own passion. I understand your passion, but now you're showing me purpose. Because I've talked to a lot of people that had a lot of passion. They was passionate about things they wanted, but they didn't know exactly how they was going to do it. And that's where some of the fire left me, because your passion grabbed my attention. Your plan made me step away and let me know it's going to take a little bit more time. Not to denounce anybody. It's just sometimes you have a gift and you don't have the complete gift. And that's why we're not perfect. And that's why we need each other. That's why. But again, when you talk to the right person, it's like, okay, and that's what we did. When we talked, we gathered knowledge. And it's like, okay, we can make this work in so many different ways. And that's what I like when you even meet somebody. Instead of me just looking at you for you and your body and, oh, the passion that I just want you, that I have a conversation and it changes how I even look at you. It's
Right.
like, wow.
Right.
Now I feel a burning, no, not that kind of burning, but a nice sensation that comes over me because of the things that you're saying that's inspiring me. I mean, it's mental, I promise you.
Okay.
And I ain't gonna say it's the same as the eye candy, okay? Because you're looking at the curves and all that. It stimulates you in a different way. And it's like, man, and now I'm intrigued. Now I want to stay talking to you because you're intriguing me compared to just staring at you. Staring is just a quick look. I am trying to get in your mind. I want to see where you're going because it helps me in my vision and where I'm going. That's the kind of push that's great compared to, man, she sure look good. Be like, bro, you ain't been to work in a couple weeks and you smell a little funky. But I know, but she look good. You done lost your ever-loving mind. Don't get caught up in the eye and lose you. Because she'll probably leave you. And now you stuck telling me your problem at the bar.
Yeah.
I'm tired of hearing your problem when you ain't gonna change your mind.
Pour it out.
Pour it out
There you
and
go.
put it in.
And
Or leave it out.
Just
But
pull
change
out.
it, change
Once you
it.
get the tingling, yeah.
What else we know? What else we got? I mean, we go all around the board, baby. We go all around the board.
so we're talking about impulsive decisions. I just think it's important that everybody understands that at the very moment you make a decision, you should at least be able to determine consequences and repercussions.
Oh, yes.
And so the very first thing I think about when I get ready to make a decision or take a risk, what am I going to lose? Right?
Ooh, yeah.
What am I going to gain? I usually ask the lose question first because I don't know them well enough or know the opportunity well enough, to determine how much I'm going to gain. Right? So if I say, if I don't gain nothing, at least I will only be out of $100. I will only be out of, if I don't gain anything by going to that meeting, at least I'll be 2 hours. What?
You lost 2 hours and $100?
And you ain't getting none?
No, listen,
Oh.
I'm weighing the decision.
Oh, okay.
We're not
My bad.
outside of the mind now. We inside of the
I got
mind
you.
right now, Jay. Right?
Yeah, before a second.
So, we're talking about how we make decisions,
I
right?
got you.
And if we make a decision based on feeling, it's got to be a strong feeling.
Correct.
Otherwise, we need to be able to count the consequences and repercussions. Does that make sense?
It do. I don't always do it, but yeah, it do.
Well,
Now,
yeah, and some of the ways that we are impulsive, probably one of the most prevalent ways, is how we spend our money
you had to go there.
and how we shop and how we buy things in the world and how we collect things and oftentimes what we spend our time on, right? We know we got a very important project at the house to work on, but somebody calls us and say, let's go to the mall or go out tonight. We getting dressed to hang out and go to the mall tonight, right? And we're gonna spend money, and then we ain't gonna be ready for our meeting tomorrow, or we haven't gotten our homework done, or whatever the case may be. And so we are very impulsive. And let me ask this question while we're talking about this level of impulsion.
Go ahead.
Why do we do what we do without knowing why we do it?
Satisfaction.
Chirp, chirp, cricket, cricket.
You right.
Yeah, most of us are so unaware of why we make the decisions that we make, right?
Satisfaction.
And yet, we do it and we regret it. And some of us have made impulsive decisions that have cost us years.
Yeah.
Years of time, years of money, years of effort. We've been spinning our wheels on things that we were hoping would work. That we believed in the wrong person. And we don't have time to waste time anymore. I mean, let's just break it down to its simplest form. Like,
Yeah.
you don't have time to make an uncalculated decision in your life that's going to cost you a year or cost you $100 or $1,000 or $100,000. You have to be mindful, and you have to be intelligent, and you have to be wise, and you have to seek knowledge. You have to have understanding before you go in a direction. Now, I spoke earlier on a whole nother level of making decisions where I let God make all my decisions. That means I lean on how I feel based on my relationship with God. Because see, if you embark out on anything, you embark out on dating this person or relationship, you embark out on starting a business, going to college, whatever the case may be, you do not have the ability to see on the other side of this mountain. You could get to the other side of this mountain and there's no life there. You could get to the other side of your greatest hurdle in life and realize there's nothing there for you. That's gotta bring on deep regret. That's gotta bring on deep emotional pain that you say, man, I spent 5 years with this person, 2 years with this person, only to realize X. That they did this, or they're in debt, or only to realize that this business isn't profitable anyway. I saw that people were making money, but I didn't know they had 90% fallout. Right?
That's not good.
That's not good. And so we have to be more mindful of how we go into our decision-making processes. About every 18 months, and it may be even less now, most people, the average person, the average working, living person in the world, makes a major decision in their life about every 18 months. And oftentimes those decisions are made because of pressure.
And growth.
Yeah, I say a small percentage of happen. He says, my audience says growth. Out of pressure and growth. I think that's a very important point to make, because I think the growth side of it is those people who will reach it. If you create pressure in your life, then you're guaranteed to make something happen, right? But if you're pressured by something else to do it, then
Expectations.
yeah, you may not just
Popularity.
be as dialed in. You may
Right.
not be as, and we're talking about something kind of abstract here. I'm really trying to make a tangible relevance of the subject. But yeah, if you're pressured into, you know that your lease ends in May. Well, why are you waiting until April to go try to find a place to live? Why are you waiting until the 15th of April to go find your next apartment? Right?
Comfortability.
You've been lounging. You've been lounging on your decision. Now pressure is upon you and you have to make a decision. And the decision that you make under pressure oftentimes is not your best work. It's not your best decision. Right? And so now what you have to do is act very much out of impulse. Oftentimes you're forced into impulse. Right? And that's not a good place to be, but you have less choices during that period of time. And so, when it comes to things like shopping or spending money, I guess those who value the dollar are the ones who take care of their money. But there are a lot of people, 60% of the population live paycheck to paycheck. That's the way the world works. And so there are a lot of those people who are saying, you know what, I got an extra $400, I'm gonna go out and buy the stereo equipment because I know I got a check coming on Friday.
True.
Right?
Not responsible.
And they're thinking now they're gonna be even when Friday come, but they're ahead before Friday. And they go out, it was, they got sold a dream, or they went out and bought something, that's shopping, bought some clothes, or had, that pair of boots that you wanted, and, the $50, $60 one was real nice, but the ones for $250 was that thing, you know what I'm saying? The ones for $200, $250, $500, that's the ones I wanted. So now you take your disposable income, where you are ahead, half of your mortgage is already paid if you don't impulsively spend.
Guilty pleasures.
Yeah, guilty pleasures. I like that. We mistreat money because we don't understand the value of it, right? And when I discovered the value of it, what it forced me to do was to limit all of those things. What I saw over and over and over again, even as a child, as a 10, 11-year-old child, my friends would get these really nice gifts, and 3 days later, they would be in the toy box, never to be seen again. They would get this really nice Nintendo game or Atari or whatever it was, and a month later, it's collected dust in the dark. And I never bought into those things. That's one I just kept seeing, like, wow, he got a new bike and he don't even ride it. And so now, when it comes time to spend my money, hard-earned money that I made, I ain't spending it on nothing.
You still got
There ain't no treasures gonna be withering away in my closet.
I see.
You see what I mean? And what I do is, I save. I'm just always putting money away. Money that I probably could spend and go and take a vacation or this, I'm always saving. Now, I think it's inherited because I learned it from my father. My father would pay with vacations by saving coins. And so he would save coins in $1 bills, and by the end of the year, he got $400, $500, $600 saved up. He never spent his ones and he never spent his coins. And so it just became a habit for me. But I like to go and buy a steak when I want a steak. I don't want $300 worth of clothes sitting in my closet and I can't go buy me a steak today. But I got bought into impulsion, thinking I needed that, I wanted that, I had to have it, and realized the outfit that, the jacket that I bought don't even go with the outfit I had planned for. Right?
And another one,
and another,
yeah.
Right?
3 clauses full.
We have to stop being so impulsive in our spending, and we got to learn to salvage the value of our resources.
No, one of the things I was going to tell you again, sometimes we lounge on making a decision.
Okay, let's say that.
Okay.
Let's say that. Let's say that, because that's big. Lounging on making decisions. I want you folks to stay tuned. We're going to go ahead and take another break.
Oh yeah, got a bartender back there. She's going to make me a drink. Special with that sexy bottle.
Okay.
Yeah, impulsive. I don't know what it's going to tell you, but the bottle made it like,
Yeah.
I want it.
Yeah.
And I told you I don't even drink, but I'm going to do a little bit.
Okay.
A little taste.
A little bit. Yeah.
That's why I be telling you a little bit.
Yeah.
That's a poquito.
I've been playing so much rap and hip hop. I'm gonna play something a little more jazzy and
Right in the vine.
but it's Hot Track by Miss Marsha Ambrosius. Y'all check it out. We'll be right back. More Bar Talk with Jay. these situations and circumstances down a little bit, you know. And you brought up a very interesting point, lounging on decisions.
That is correct. You want me to go in further with it?
Go ahead and tell me about that.
One of
Jack.
the things about lounging on decisions, you got to understand, sometimes people feel like they're pressured on their decisions, so they tend to not want to make it. People give it to you and you be like, I'll make my mind up a little later. So they put themselves in pressure mode where all the options that they have is limited. And then it's easier for them to go ahead and make a decision. But as long as they got all these options, it's like, I just don't know what to choose because they undecisive. And it happens a lot. I've been in positions where I didn't want to, had to do evaluations over a lot of people. And it's like, man, I got to go all these evaluations. I really don't like going through all this. I know them personally, but I have to take time to evaluate them individually. I can't do them as a group. I have to do it. So I know it's mentally hard because I have to get into my deep thoughts. So guess what? A lot of time I push it off. And I handle all my day-to-days. But these evaluations it's a deadline on them because raises got to be done. So I wait almost to the last minute where I feel like I have to because now I'm being emailed, where's mine? So now I'm sitting there like, okay, it's a forced situation. So now I'm focused because I know I have to. But when I have free time to do it, when I probably could have had more time to look at it, I'm like, you know something? I'm going to make it happen, and I start focusing on each individual person. So I can't say I cheated them at all, because I took my time to focus on each one to make sure I was like, okay, I got some good key points. I looked at some of the stuff that they did. I looked at their stats, and I'm going through them. Now, this the sad part. I found out I have some good skills in some of the methods that I was using, but instead of using them early, I kept it going the same way. So I'm telling you, sometimes it's behavior. Learn behavior. Gotta watch it.
Yeah, and one of the
Impulsive. Bad.
one of the things you brought up that I think was really important is deadlines to making decisions. We need to set deadlines to make certain decisions in life.
Time to process.
And it becomes your process.
Right.
And so there are people who are, I'm always talking about leaving potential on the table. There are many of you who are leaving great potential on the table because you won't make a decision. And we're not asking you to make an impulse decision. We're asking you to make a calculated decision in the direction of your life. And so one way to hold yourself accountable might be to put the objective on the table, put the project on the table, and put it write it down on a sheet of paper, the name of the project, and then a deadline. And put that up on your refrigerator. And say, I'm going to make this decision by this time. Now, what oftentimes will happen, because you're seeing it over and over, and you're being reminded of it over and over, you're thinking about it more. And the other part that will happen is that you will put yourself in a position to feel if it's the right decision or not the right decision. You will always be weighing your emotions about that particular project. You'll be weighing your emotions all the time. Hey, is this feeling right? It's feeling right for me to do this. And I tell you another thing, the major thing that will happen is synchronicity will start to happen. And so you decided that, I said one time, I said, man, I'm gonna get a tattoo, right? And the next thing you know, I met 3 people who could turn me on to a tattoo artist. One of them was a tattoo artist. And so the mind and the spirit will start to go in the direction, and it will tell you, even if the project is right for you, it may say, not at this time, right? Very interesting thing happened to me during my last relationship.
What's that?
I was asking God questions about, is this where He wants me to be?
What did he say?
And He said, no. And I said to Him, okay, if this isn't where you want me to be, then should I pack my bags and leave right now? I could leave right now. There's nothing stopping me from leaving. I could go pack my bags, get in my car, and say goodbye and leave. And I said, is that what you want me to do, Lord? And He said, no. Right.
Jeez.
Right.
So what do you do?
Well, see, you got to listen to the Spirit now. The Spirit was saying, "This isn't where I want you to be,
Right.
but it's not time to leave yet."
Oh, I got it.
You see? And so
Well,
now I could, and what began to happen in that next short period of time is I could feel the Spirit nudging me, to go and do things, to go and make sure I got a nice comforter my first night out of the house, and, make sure that, I say, I have, warm goodbyes before I leave, or whatever the case may be.
Sound like you was exiting.
Well, you're damn right I was accident. But I wasn't. But he didn't show me not to go right then. So I was like, well, you can't do what the Lord tell you not to do. So I
Self-confliction,
said,
it sounds like.
huh?
Self-confliction, it sounds like.
A little bit.
You got
from the
spirit,
outside-
heart,
yeah.
and then you got, I forgot the other one. But
This audience calls it self-confliction. King calls it self-conflicted, right?
right.
It would look like that from the
Feelings,
outside.
heart, and spirit.
Feeling, heart, and spirit were all separated from each other, right?
Right.
But see, oh, this is powerful.
Okay.
But see, that was part of the pressure. There had to be the pressure for me to say, I don't want to feel like this anymore.
But what your heart tell you, you feel one way, but your heart tell you something else.
Well, my heart is even conflicted. Why? Because I love her.
Mm-hmm.
I love her, but yet my spirit is saying it's time to go. And so I said, well, Lord, I love her and I know it's time to go, but should I go right now? He's like, no, sit still. Be still for a few
Be
minutes.
still.
I got some more things to show you. And I got some more things to prepare
Working
for
on
your next route. And so now I'm listening to the Spirit. Now I'm listening to my heart. I'm listening to not necessarily my heart. My soul is guiding me. My soul is pushing me in one direction or another. We're talking about making impulsive decisions, right? And I could have just packed up and dipped. And who knows what would have happened then? I might still be exactly here where I am now. But because I always have a tendency to listen to the Spirit, I just didn't go right then. And I'm thankful I didn't, because there were some other developments that made a huge difference
Tolerance.
in that equation. And we're not talking about a long period of time. This didn't last for months. This lasted for a couple of weeks. And so I allowed the Spirit to talk to me. Okay, why do we do what we do without knowing why we do it? Because we're not paying attention.
Yes.
We're not asking ourselves the question why enough.
No.
Why is a very important question. This is my this is just my little philosophy, my inner philosophy, right?
What's that?
I can always ask the world why, but I can never ask God why. Because if I ask myself why,
Mm-hmm.
in either scenario, I'm going to be pulled toward answers.
Right.
And I'm going to be pulled toward explanation, toward understanding, toward knowledge and intelligence. I'm going to be pulled in that direction. If I ask God why, He's going to pull me and answer my why. But why might cost me a year to figure out. I don't want to be on that path. I don't want to be on that branch that's not going to continue to produce fruit. Because He knows that if I go down that branch, that's the branch that's going to be invaded by, insects or whatever, if we're thinking about it metaphysical, or I'm trying to put it in framework, that branch is going to end up dying and breaking and going to nothingness. But I need to be staying on this path.
Stay strong.
I need to stay strong.
Stay rooted.
How'd you respond to
Like
that?
I'm gonna tell you, man. I love what you just said, because a lot of times we impulsively step out there too far, and you already know about laws of physics. You go out too far, you're gonna break, okay, and you're gonna fall.
And going out too far in this scenario is about asking questions that you ain't got no business asking.
Because you
Right.
too busy being nosy. Because you ain't looking at you.
Yeah.
You're too busy fooling around with somebody else, and that's what happens.
Let me
That's the
say this.
impulsiveness. I'd rather question you than check myself.
Yeah.
I've
And-
seen it in relationships, and I've been there
Yeah.
many times. And it gets old, but again, you have to change your mental. And again, step it out there. It's understanding. Everything that you do is going to cause a challenge. I just want you to challenge yourself in a positive way than a negative way.
Yeah, and here's kind of what's happening. I'm not even fully aware of where I'm going here,
Okay.
but if you asking why,
Mm-hmm.
if you're asking why God has you in a relationship that you know is not for you,
Mm-hmm.
You're asking the wrong question.
Right.
Because what your why is focused on, your why is determined and focused on the person.
Correct.
Your why is not focused on your purpose,
There you go.
right? You're asking the short-term why and not the long-term why, right? And these are such critical frames of thought because oftentimes people spend years wallowing in why. Why did this happen to me? Why did this happen to me? You know, how could this have happened to me? You know, I spent all this time, how could I be, you know, I put my whole self on Front Street in front of the world trying to do something and now they laugh at me because I failed or because I didn't achieve what they thought I should have achieved, you know. Why is this happening to me? That's not the question to be asking.
Right.
The question should be asking, go to the positive side, what am I to get out of this? How is this going to help tomorrow? What is important about tomorrow? Where am I supposed to go tomorrow? Forget about asking those old questions, right?
Those are necessary.
I'm sorry?
I said those are necessary questions to ask because most of the time we look at everybody else do it and we come, you know, following behind it and not really, well, he do it, it's impulsive because it's so natural to the eyes. Like if I do this, it's the same result. Even though we know the consequences, we like, it ain't that bad. So you do it, but it was impulsive instead of you thinking for yourself.
Instead of you think for yourself.
That
Absolutely.
right there is just
Yeah.
profound.
That is quite
Because
profound.
that's what it is. It really is.
Yeah. We got to start asking this question: why do we do what we do? And there are you in relationships right now.
Mhm.
I would encourage you to just simply ask yourself, why am I in this relationship? And if the answer that you give is edifying to the spirit, if it's a good answer, don't lie to yourself, don't cheat yourself, don't give a false answer like you're talking to your friend or your pastor. You know, you're just giving the public answer. Give yourself a real honest assessment of why am I here.
Start with
That
being
should
from the
be-
heart
yeah.
yourself.
That should be the propulsion system for your doing whatever you do tomorrow for that person or with that person, etc. That should be the energy and the gasoline, the fuel you need to drive forward. But if you ask yourself why and you don't come up with a good answer, then it's time to change directions.
Start making excuses.
Stop making excuses. It's time to change directions.
Can I-
And
Can I put one out?
yeah, go ahead, Jay, because I want to chime in on that some more.
When you say this, one of the things I can tell you is I used to pray a lot about after my divorce and things I went through. I was trying to heal.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I stopped doing is asking him why this is happening to me. And I start praying for understanding.
There you go.
He broke it down to make me realize my indiscretions and my faults. And when you start seeing you in a better way, because I seen me in the worst way, but at that time I was looking at other people. I was looking at the other people that's coming in my life. And I'm asking why. Why are these people coming in? Why? But I wasn't changing anything. But when I started praying for understanding, it came to me in a whole nother way.
And let's put a caption on that. Let's just close that up. Every single time we want to ask ourselves why,
Mm-hmm.
we're going to simply turn away from why and ask for understanding. Let that be our process for greater wisdom. Let it be our process for moving forward. We'll never ask why. Never ask why. That's powerful. Because that takes your mind off of the nonsense. Right? It takes your mind off the less than stuff. And the understanding is, here's what you gotta know. Here's what you gotta get out of this. Here's what you gotta receive. Here's your direction. Right? So that we can, again, the objective is to move away from impulse. Why helps you dig way deeper so you can make a clearer decision. But we're not going to ask why necessarily with the expectation of why is this thing happening to me? Why is this tragedy? Why am I a victim? Is basically what you're saying. Why am I a victim of this situation? God don't like those questions. It's almost testing him when you ask those questions. because he knows what he was doing before the foundation of the earth. You know, he encapsulated the seas and created the clouds and fed the goats in the wild blue yonder when nobody was looking. He knows what he's doing, and you know how to do all of it just like. How would you like your child to ask you, why are you doing what you do? That would be insulting to you. You'd be like, baby, I do what I do because I learned some shit 20 years ago, and you ain't gonna get it for another 20 years. But just follow my direction, and you'll stay out of trouble. Follow my direction, and you'll get more out of life.
Follow my direction, stay out the dentist.
Follow my direction, stay out the dentist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You miss his teeth.
Yeah, absolutely. You can't do much about these glasses. But you keep reading in the dark, you're gonna need some glasses. That's why I tell you to turn that light on, you know? So why it can be an offensive question, especially to God, but and here's another way to kind of deal with why. I said you ask why to yourself about your significant other. Why am I here? Ask them why they're here. Why are you with me? Why are we in this relationship? Especially if you're going through a challenge time. Now, you may not like the answer you get, right?
Mm-hmm.
But to hear them express what they express is going to tell you an awful lot.
If they're honest.
It may help you synchronize with your own why,
Tell you what you want to hear.
right? You know, that's a very interesting exercise. That's kind of putting your significant other on front row, but you don't have to do it in a dramatic way. Do it in a very soft and loving way. I just wanted you to tell me 3 reasons why you're with me, right? Well, and sometimes those answers can be they can bring people together. Because now they're realizing they're on the same page. 2 out of 3 of those things, right? Yeah.
What if they say, think about
If he
that.
says, well,
That's before the lie.
that might need to be the answer, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those questions. This is one of those subjects where we have to take a step back and think about how we make decisions. And you know, we got to take another break here real quick, but we don't oftentimes are able to step back and even diagnose how we make a decision. Right? You can look at your child, or you can look at your significant other, and you can realize that they may be making a decision because they think it's the last hope. Right? Or they may be making a decision just to stay out of trouble. Right? You know, people are making decisions for all types of reasons, and to diagnose or to try to determine your why is a very important part of making your next move the best move. That's what we all want to do. We always make our next move the best move. And we do that ultimately through understanding, right? And understanding will create a certain feeling that tells us yes, no, right, wrong. Let's go. Let's sit back, right? So let's go ahead and take us another break. And we're doing fabulous on time tonight. Thank you folks for being here with us. I hope you're enjoying the show.
Lounging on the decision. So I'm gonna say it all day long. When you look at the lounge on decision, sometimes people feel no pressure to make one, so they tend not to.
They tend not to, yes.
And it's not good, but again, it's a habit. So when you get lackadaisy on it, and then you get pressured, then you respond and you get it done, you don't always change your action. And then now it's becoming a habit. So now everything has to be pressured before you even respond, because you feel I probably won't make a good decision if I'm not pressured.
Well, no, that's a bad habit.
Right, because now I'm questioning myself. You think about it. I know I'm capable of doing it because I did it. I was under pressure and I did a pretty good job, right? So you think next time I'm gonna start looking at it early, for I won't feel the pressure. But I felt like I did pretty good. I don't want to work towards it. I'm going to just see what I do and see if it becomes even easier next time. So you're developing bad habits. Instead of taking that and grabbing and enhancing, you just like, yo, I don't like it. And then you talk, you know what I'm saying? You talk yourself into a fear. That's what you're doing. I don't want to fail, but I'm setting myself up to fail.
Yeah.
I'm not going to succeed with this behavior, but it got me by.
Well, see, the problem is there's not a lot of self-assessment going on when these things. All of us have these little bitty projects in our head that we know need to get done. We have these little bitty things that we do, and some of us have big things. We got these goals and these dreams and these, we want to be entrepreneur and we want to be deacon in our church and we want to be all these things. But yet we're lounging on our decisions. We have these great goals and dreams, but yet for years we do nothing about it.
Correct.
And ultimately, after so much, I call that failure. You want to do something, but you do nothing about it. That creates a failure spirit.
Correct.
In your soul. And so, why is it that we don't do anything? Why is it that we put ourselves out there like that? Why do we lounge on decision? We said it's fear, but is it fear or is it more laziness?
It's a lot of laziness, but the laziness comes with the fear of making a quick decision or being a failing decision. You got to think about it. A lot of times I'm not quick to do it because if I make the decision, and that last decision, it didn't work out. A lot of times you replay the most bad experience that you had. And it's really bad because my whole thing is your mind is so vast. You forget that you're great. And I hate that. You have greatness in you, but you remember the pains of the failures. And they're supposed to be lessons. You know that. It's stepping stones. You're going to go through some things that put you through some pain. But all of a sudden, the pain becomes a fear. I don't want to feel that again. Now it's a fear, so it's not a good lesson. You're not going at it in a positive way or a changing way. It's just a fear. I don't want that to happen. So if a person talks to me in a certain way, I'm going to respond automatically, oh, you ain't going to put me there, because I'm automatically going back to where I don't want to be. That's a fear, and it happens a lot in life.
It happens a lot in life.
And I want people to get away from your fears because it's hindering you.
It's hindering you.
You're great.
Yeah.
You have purpose. You have drive. You have the ability to be the best person, and that person is you, not somebody else. Do not look at somebody else successful and saying that's what you need to be. That's a damn lie.
Yeah, Jay.
It took you to understand. It took them to get there. Now I want you, and it ain't about money. I want you to be happy. I want you to find what he has for you, to get into your spirit and live your life fulfilling, not for somebody else, for you.
Yeah, and that brings me to kind of a whole nother subject. Because if you think about the challenge of this fear hindering people from making decisions, that means somebody's got to teach us how to overcome the fear.
Ooh, I'm glad
Because
you said that.
if the fear is coming before the decision, then we have to figure out how to overcome the fear. And this is ultimately what Minecraft is all about.
And that's what I was about to tell you.
Yeah, this is
The
exactly
cure.
what Minecraft is.
The cure, baby.
In life, I told the example earlier about how Einstein discovered E equals mc squared. E
Right.
equals mc squared is the correct formula. And what he did was he resolved the issue in his mind. In his mind, he played the whole story and the whole tape in his mind of achieving the goal and having the answer. And then it came to life.
Ooh.
Right? That the fear is that we are holding all of these old experiences, we playing all these old tapes in our head, and the old tapes are causing us to be paralyzed.
Ooh, okay.
Right? So we got to get rid of this paralyzed thing. The thoughts that we're thinking are not producing the results that we want them to produce. So now we got to produce some other thoughts.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And that's where we might do things like pray. We might do things like read affirmations. We might do things like do visualizations. We might do meditation. We we might sometimes even start to seek counsel from
Yes.
from friends and family, right?
Or therapist.
Because you need to be built back up before you do this thing again.
Correct.
Now, a man who's fallen and got up again, and fallen and got up again, and fallen and got up again, don't need those counseling sessions.
You crazy as hell. You need some walking lessons. Shit.
No, he gets up.
He didn't see what was in front of him.
He gets up. You know, a man won't fall 7 times. You know, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh,
I'm
I
talking
feel
about
more than
like-
that.
So, right. So the point
I
is,
found out I was pigeon toed. Don't play. This joke. That was a joke. My bad.
so I lost train of thought, man.
My bad. No, what I was trying to say is again, the getting up. It's a process.
It's a process. You
And
gotta,
you
get up.
constantly get your stuff together and quit looking at the falls and understand its lessons. You tripped, you failed, you got up. Did you see what you tripped over? Did you understand what you went through? And then when it happens again, it shouldn't be for the same thing. The problem is we tripping and falling over the same thing and thinking it's gonna change, and we ain't did nothing in the mind. And that's what Minecraft gonna do. We're gonna stimulate you to stimulate your mind to look at things in a different way. And that way it'll enhance you. It's not about talking about you. I promise you, I've failed too many times, but I'm not a failure.
Yeah.
I'm going to change my way of thinking, but I need help. And everybody ain't gonna run to a therapist, everybody ain't running to the pastor, and I don't care if everybody running no bar. But I do want somebody to care enough to give people solutions.
Absolutely.
And that's what you can do.
Absolutely. And believe it or not, folks, this is the real answer to the whole equation. The solutions are in your mind.
Yes.
I can't come up with the right words well enough to describe to you how powerful the mind is. And, you know, books like The Secret and, that whole theory of the law of attraction, it is so real. It is so real, and you gotta get a hold of it. Because if you are lounging in indecision because you are fearful, it's simply because your vision is not strong enough to propel you into the thing you want to do.
Ooh.
Your vision is not clear enough. The only vision you have is an unclear vision of falling over and over and over. You don't have the vision that this can work. I can be successful. I can make it happen. So the reason you're not outwardly projecting
Right.
a decision is because you're inwardly doubting. But the doubt comes from a lack of vision.
I've been there.
Preach, Craig.
The doubt comes from a lack of a clear image of success.
Correct.
And we have proven this theory. We've proven it like it was proven hundreds of years ago. That you could take a child who is not making good grades, and you can have that child to simply do exercises like create a fake report card and give it to the child with all A's, and watch the child begin to buy into it. Watch the child begin to like, ooh, what would happen? Yeah, and if you did this, I'll take you to Disney World. What? And now the child's beginning to identify with success and the reward of success. The only thing that child can think about is that trip to Disney World. And to get that trip, he's got to pay attention in class. Now the child makes the decision on his own accord to pay attention in class because he has a vision of the outcome.
Preach.
We don't chase fairy tales, we chase dreams and promises. We don't chase phantom outcomes, we chase the knowledge of attaining something real, something tangible, right? So, we've got to find a way to be resolved in our minds on any of this stuff. If you are sitting in your living room right now and you are seeking love,
Ooh.
you one day want to get married and find Mr. Right.
Yes.
If you don't have an image of what that looks like, when it appears, you won't know what to do with it. When it appears, your spirit won't magnetically pull you into it,
I'm hoping.
right? We've got to become resolved in our minds. Here's another one.
Okay, what's that?
There is a project that you're working on right now. Big project, little project, etc., etc. Whatever that project is, In your mind, you have to clearly see it done, and you handing it off to your professor, to your boss. You handing the results are done. You see the finish line. You're standing on the other side of the finish line, waving your flag for your country, or for your organization, or for your team, or for your school. You got to see yourself beyond the finish line. Those who sprint in track, run the 100-meter dash, they got to see themselves out front. You're never going to be the best seeing yourself being second, third, and fourth place.
True.
You can, when you look at the tapes of every race, the guy who finishes number one, when you look at it, you say, that's me right there. You got to start identifying with it. And you know what? Because he won that, he got a contract. He got $1,000. He got this, he got that. You got to become embraced in the solution of the problems that we face. Become embraced in the attainment of your dreams and goals. Those are the things that will propel you in right decision. And anything that is not for you, once that's in you, know how God said, once the word is in you, it'll just push any naysayers away from you. It will strengthen your emotions so much that you won't be affected by what's going on and somebody talking down about you or behind your back or whatever. See, you got to get that spirit in you, because that's the only thing, the spirit of attainment and accomplishment. Again, that's the only thing that's going to drive you into making decisions that are for your highest and greatest good. And there are too many people are lounging on thought. That is the entire purpose of Minecraft. You think that you can think anything you want, and there are no repercussions. But there are repercussions. There are deep, long-term repercussions for the way that you think. And as soon as you think about hurting someone, the universe is going to start thinking about hurting you.
Karma.
And so now you're digging your own grave with negative thoughts and dark thoughts and troubled thoughts and worrisome thoughts and fearful-based thoughts. Those thoughts have no business in you. Rebuke them and begin to claim, seek, speak positivity over your life. If I could have everyone in the world in a room, one person at a time, while you're in that room, I would have you to prophesy over your own life. I would just have you in a random 1-minute recording tell me everything that you want to do and where you're going to go and how you're going to be and what life you're going to live. Create. And then I would take that image, I would transcribe it, and I would send you the video and the words back, and I would have you to listen to it and read it once a week for the rest of your life. And I'll promise you, you'll drift in the direction, because that'll be the most powerful image in your mind is the one that you prophesy. You must begin to prophesy over your life. You're leaving potential on the table. You're letting the spirit of darkness take over because you haven't created the light. You have not spoken it, and therefore it cannot come to pass. We got to speak it. This is how you heal yourself from indecision. Speak life into the thing and that you desire, and it will begin to change your mind, and it will begin to make you do things that you otherwise would not do.
You about to make me cry.
You'll take a risk when you believe that it's destined to pass. Is that not right?
I know you dead on.
There is no risk when you're absolutely convinced of who you are and where you're going.
No reward.
But we do that through images. And let me just, I'm just going to take a sidestep here. This is so powerful and so important. The entire universe is nothing more than images. And the image that you buy into the most will become who you are. Hear me now. The images that you buy into the most will become who you are. One of my favorite people in the world, over the last few weeks I've been studying, doing more stuff with Minecraft, and Pastor T.D. Jakes, Bishop T.D. Jakes, has just struck a new accord in my spirit.
All right.
You know?
Give it to us.
Because he was telling the story about, Oprah was asking him, well, how did you come to doing this? I know you wanted to be the Bible kid at 6 years old, and everybody called you the Bible kid, and he said, well, when I step on the mic, it's just what I do. He said, I never saw a big church. I never saw thousands of people coming. He said, I just had a vision of a ministry. And that ministry could have unfolded in any number of ways. It could have folded on TV and radio. It could have been just people in front of it. It could have just been 10 people in his congregation for the rest of his life. But his image was his image of helping people was so big, it began to manifest and blossom in his life. And he teaches this concept. Christ taught us this concept many, many years ago. Know thyself. If I know thyself to be weak and impure and unwhole and sad and troubled, then that is what I will become. But if I know myself as a warrior and a winner and a fighter and someone who's a good person with values and morals, then that is who I will become. What I'm trying to say here is that we got to become accountable. We got to become accountable for our own thinking. It is our own thinking that leads us to our destiny. It is our own picture of ourselves, the images that we have in our mind and our own minds that lead us in right directions and right paths. You see? But those images, if they're whole and complete, they'll be accepted by the Lord, and He'll take you wherever you want to go. See, He don't care where you go. Right? You could be born to be a painter, but end up being a great teacher. Right? But He knew your heart was in the right place. And so He fulfilled your spirit by giving you good work that satisfies your heart. You no longer have to worry about your passion and your purpose, because He'll place you in it when your heart's pure. He'll place you in it when your heart's pure. I don't know, Jay, it's about time for us to go break. You got something to say on that?
Man, you hit it on so many different accords. It'd be hard for me to say anything other than watch exactly what the best way I can say it, break it down from what you just said. Because again, I gotta go back to it. A lot of people are looking at what somebody else created. I can look at the walls and I can tell you, when I look at the banner of Bar Talk with Jay, it was a vision of mine, and being able to see somebody buy me things with my stuff on it only let me know how powerful a vision is.
Yes.
But I look across from me and I see Scarface, and I see the movie, and I know the impact of the movie and how I feel. And my whole thing is, I don't have to keep looking there. I can look within me, and I can make purpose and passion. So I'm starting to realize it's not just by what I see, it's what I can create. It starts within.
It starts
But
within.
we so much look out, you forget what's in. So I want to be what I see compared to what I am. We're following and not leading, and we're not us. And then you wonder why you're lonely. It wasn't meant to be that way, and you might have made a lot of money that way, and you're still trying to find your way. But one of the things you said is, when He put you in your place, you're whole, you're happy, and you don't live like an unhappy person. They're not in fear. I don't want people to be in fear and to be scared about what they want to be. I want you to embrace the fact that you are alive and He has purpose in you. The show is to break you down and make you realize there's some things that we still need to develop.
Absolutely, Jay.
And if we can develop it in the right way, we can change our destiny. I like to say, you can live a moderate, boring life, but exposure can help you change the way you think. And if you can change that, you can change your altitude and the way you look at things and what you do. That's what this show is about. So giving up my time to talk about things that's difficult and you might not like, and I might be ridiculed and talked about and all the rest of this, that's fine with me, if it gets you to be the best you. Because then my life is fulfilled. Because I never thought I can even be in this position. But I took the leap of faith, and all I'm asking you is to listen and find out what's yours.
There you go. And it is time for us to take our final break. We went over a little bit, so we're gonna come back. We'll take about 10 minutes to close. If you'll stay with us, we'd love to have you. And we're gonna wrap this show up with a big bang. So stay tuned. We're gonna be right back with more Bar Talk with Jay.
that impact. Just remember that word right there. Part of the show tonight, we want to make that impact in your life to see if we can make some positive changes in your way of thinking. Craftmatic, what's on your mind?
What's on my mind, what just came to me a moment ago, was that we started this conversation out talking about impulse,
Yes.
and yet we ended up talking about our life's purpose and the vision for our entire lives. And, you know, impulse is making decisions without knowledge. It's making decisions without intuition. You don't know the outcome. And I think the point of this discussion is that we all need to minimize our risks, and we minimize our risks by improving our self-discipline. You got to change yourself, especially if you've been making impulsive decisions. You be getting in relationship after relationship after relationship over and over and over again. You need to slow down. And you need to take some time for yourself, really, is the answer to that equation. You feeling convicted over here, Jay?
No, I ain't saying nothing. I ain't saying nothing.
Everybody can see it in your body like
Yeah,
that. You got all
well, y'all
uncomfortable.
looking too much. You mind your business. Mind your business.
Impulse typically doesn't pay off. Now, I don't want to leave this discussion without saying this.
What's that?
The opposite of impulse is intuition. There's a still small voice in all of our ears speaking to us. And in spite of all odds, it may be telling us this is the right path for you. This is the right person. This is the right time. It's saying something to us all. It's nudging us all. And when that still small voice speaks, you got to hear it. If you don't hear it, then it stops speaking. And that's where a lot of people will get numb in life. You won't be able to hear from the Lord. Why? Because you probably haven't been to him for a while, right? You ain't hearing from him because he hadn't heard from you, right? Spirit begets spirit. You must begin to operate in the spirit in order to gain spiritual intelligence. And intuition is certainly spiritual intelligence. And we live a great deal of our life by it. Something just said, don't leave work right now. And then there was a big accident down the street. Something said, go out that night. And then you met your best friend. There is always the intuitive measure that is coming through you, but we've got to learn how to interpret it. We've got to learn how to receive from it. And it speaks our greatest truth every single moment. I was reading a passage, not to get off the subject, I was reading a passage from the Bible this past week. And it was in Proverbs, and it was almost like instead of God speaking, wisdom was speaking. And wisdom was saying that I was there before the foundation of the earth. I was there with the Lord when he created the foundation of the earth, right? And that when you are in trouble, call on me. Wisdom said, call on me. And when God was explaining wisdom, God was saying, wisdom is where your attention needs to lie, right? Seeking wisdom in all things. He's always talking about not seeking things and stuff, but seeking wisdom, right? And we all too many times start seeking things and stuff in the world. I don't want to ramble here, Jay. I'm just trying to elaborate on the subject. That we just often too many times unaware of how these decisions have been made in our lives. And so, in closing, I want you to start to take a look at it. How have I made decisions? Have I made the same decisions over and over and over? Right? And is that because I really didn't think about the decision? Or, okay, so beat yourself up a little bit and then start saying to yourself, I'm not going to make any more impulse decisions unless I feel it's directly from God. I'm not going. In fact, I would take that really across every area of your life. How you spend your money, how you spend your time, how you manage your relationships. Those new ideas that come to you, you're not just going to jump on any brand new idea. You're going to go do a little research on those ideas, because you're going to come to find that there's a lot of nonsense in the airwaves.
Yes.
Right? There are a lot of people that are pulling you for their reasons and not yours. And you just can't afford to make a decision based on any type of pressure. Okay? Now, pressure does change things. Pressure does create. If you think about any plant growing in the universe, inside of it is an extreme amount of pressure as it continues to grow, and also has to be in us. But when we operate on the Spirit, we don't operate in that level of pressure. You see? We're divinely guided when we operate on the Spirit. So any comments, Jay?
Yes, I'm going to throw a challenge out there real quick, and it's going to be a challenge for anybody that's probably over the age of 30 to 40 years old, all the way on up. And one of the things I'm going to ask you to do, and again, you might not understand exactly what you do, and I pray for understanding, but you might not see how somebody see you. So if you have anybody that you're close to in your family, one of the things I'm going to ask you is to ask them what kind of eulogy would they say over you. For you can see how somebody see you. Before you go, can you understand how somebody actually see you? You have your own perception. I want you to hear, before you can leave this place, you can make a change in how somebody can perceive you when you hear from somebody telling you what they see of you without you speaking. So please, when you ask them this, take it in. Do not rebuke. Do not question. Just understand that's their perception.
Yeah.
Then you have the power to see you in a way that I might not like me. I see that you look at me in a certain way. Don't be judgmental. Just understand.
Yeah.
You might not be walking how you're talking. And this is the best way. And I'm just challenging you because I see all these other challenges. I want to challenge you in a positive way.
Yeah.
Because everybody don't see you how you think they see you. And you're not the person
And listen,
that you probably think you are.
Asking the question, I guess I'll go. I like to do big ideas so people can bring it down to the small. Pastor T.D. Jakes was, Oprah had asked Pastor T.D. Jakes if he believes that being gay is a sin. And he said, right off the top of his head, I don't want to be remembered for what I think. My opinion doesn't matter. I only want to be remembered for preaching the word. And asking yourself how you want to be seen by the world helps you clarify your vision of yourself and how you will be presented or seen in the world. That's another great way to internalize, here's what I want to be remembered for. You know what? Here's how I'd like people to see me, right? And my vision of myself is, a pretty laid-back guy, clean-cut, fun-loving. I don't like enemies or adversaries or disagreements. I'm a problem solver. I want people to think I'm an action taker. I want the world to see my works as someone who got something done in his life. And if people aren't perceiving me that way right now, it's because I'm probably not on that track. And that's where there's opportunity for change. That's where there's an opportunity for us to begin to change ourselves. There's a guy at work who is probably one of the most intelligent people in our dealership. Mm-hmm. He is one of the brightest guys when it comes to building deals and talking about the structure of deals and which bank's going to be the right one and what rate would they get and how would you... He's the greatest. But when you look at him, he's always... he's never clean shaved. His shirt's got wrinkles on them. You know what I'm saying? Where he got two pair of pants. He think nobody can see that they ain't got two pair of pants. Mm-hmm. And he always wearing kind of dirty tennis shoes. And seemed like he had some problems with his teeth for a while.
Yeah, he didn't brushing.
And so he is not even considering what other people think, and that may not be important to him, right? But how he is perceived by everyone is that he's highly intelligent, but he's a slouch. We can all imagine that at his house is probably not clean, right? We can all imagine that it's his car is probably not very clean, right? We can imagine that if you were to go into business with him, he's probably not very organized, right? He doesn't care about the appearance of things, right? And so the image that he's sending off is
Nigga.
Yeah, he's a slouch, right? Even though he's a genius, and that could be the quirk in his genius, because every genius has a quirk, and his is, he's highly intelligent in business, but he doesn't care about the appearance of anything, right? So asking yourself the question, how do I want people to see me, is an important question in the world. We are not here alone. We have to get through life with other people and relationships, and the image you want to present or betray, if you get clear on what that is, then that is exactly what you will send out. It is just about time for us to close. Any parting words for us, Jay?
Man, I tell you, the challenge is the best policy I can tell you. When I say a policy, it's one of the things I want you to do. In order for you to start hearing what somebody else might be saying about you without being judgmental. It's sad when you feel some type of way and no one sees you how you feel. And I had this done with my brothers, people that I know care about me enough. And the words they said was not words that I felt bad about. I just know that they didn't say the things I want them to say. And I have the power to change it. So now I have another focus in life. And the focus is the better me. For I can put more out and I can get more results of what I want to be compared to what I was hearing. That's up to you.
There you go.
That challenge is your challenge if you choose to take it. But I heard a lot of these other challenges, but this one might help you. That's what we do.
Yeah, and I'll close with this, that every decision requires a why, especially an impulse decision. And if you don't have the why, it's probably not a good decision, right? And the greatest why you're probably going to have in making an impulse decision is it feels right. It feels like the right thing to do. My head and my heart are in alignment. God is leading me here. My intuition is saying, do this. I'm being inspired to do it from the inside and not the outside. Asking why can ultimately help you figure out if it's right or if it's wrong. We've asked you tonight to just take a look at how you make decisions. And if you can't even assess the past, be mindful of how you do it in the future. Put up those deadlines and timelines on your refrigerator. Get in your calendars and start determining what you're going to do, when you're going to do it. Take out the guesswork into what you're doing, and I'll promise you your decisions will become a lot easier to make, especially over time. So, this has been Bar Talk with Jay. My name is Craftmatic. This is my boy Smooth Jay. And we hopefully have liberated your mind in the wisdom that we brought tonight. We're so grateful for all of you participating in this show. Send it to friends and family. Get the word out about this positivity that we're sharing. Out of all the programs you watch during the week, there's probably not been one more helpful and more positive than the one we shared tonight. And make sure somebody else gets some gravy out of this show as well. We're here every Thursday, Facebook Live, 7 to 9 live. And of course, you can watch us on every other platform that almost in the world. So once again, we thank you, we love you, and we are out.
Ain't no last calls here.
Bar Talk with Jay.